In the year 2050, I couldn't resist. For those of you who know Conan O'Brien, thank you. All right, back to the serious stuff now. May 4th, 2050, the optimist scenario. 3 women are about to be inaugurated. The women got to know each other in 2015 on a social media app called Twitter, after a feminist they followed posted a series of tweets on the film Born in Flames, an underground queer anarchist feminist film in which women use direct action to fight for women's rights. Donia Zaki is 60 and is about to become Egypt's first woman president. Yeah. Arij Mohammed, 55, is about to become Saudi Arabia's first woman mufti. Octavia Hernandez, 53, is about to become the 3rd consecutive woman president of the United States of America. Wait. Having just beaten Chelsea Clinton, who at 70 was considered too old. I told you to wait. Donia, Arij, and Octavia had all determined that their inauguration would occur on the same day to honor the solidarity that had kept them going since they first met on Twitter. Not only was Donia about to become Egypt's first woman president, she was also openly bisexual and a poet. The perfect antidote to decades of hyper-masculine Egyptian politics. Donia had enthusiastically joined the 2011 revolution, but was quickly frustrated with how male-centric it had become. She watched in horror as it turned into a political musical chairs between the military and the political Islamists of the Muslim Brotherhood. In 2015, she joined an underground anarcho-feminist movement called Sekhmet Sisters. Sekhmet was an ancient Egyptian goddess of retribution and sex. As Donia described her, first she'd kick your head in, then she'd fuck your brains out. Her first presidential decree was to build monuments in every Egyptian city to the revolutionary sisters, to honor the courage of women who had exposed the so-called virginity tests the military had subjected them to in March 2011. Arij was an atheist, but had agreed to accept the post of first woman mufti of Saudi Arabia because she still believed in change from within. When she was 7, one of her cousins, Maha, burnt to death after morality police refused to let her and her schoolmates out of their burning school building because girls weren't wearing veils. Nobody would tell Arij what happened to Maha, but by 2015, she had figured it out and had used social media to start Khadija's Daughters Brigades, an underground radical feminist movement. That year, the new Saudi king had removed the only woman in the cabinet. He knew his Western allies cared more about buying oil from him and selling him weapons. Feminist foreign policy be damned. Through years of determined and increasingly audacious civil disobedience, Khadija's Daughters Brigades had overthrown the Saudi royal family and the zealous clerics who helped bolster them. A parliamentary democracy was established in the kingdom, and a coalition government had asked Arij to become mufti because they understood once Saudi Arabia turned feminist, it would turn every Muslim-majority country upside down. One of Arij's first fatwas was to allow women to have multiple spouses. Wait. Feminism and polyamory at once, not bad. Octavia is 53. Her lessons in frontline feminism blossomed both thanks to her friendship with Donia and Arij, but also because she was from Indiana, where Purvi Patel was sentenced to 20 years in prison for feticide and child neglect after she miscarried. The year before, during midterm elections, Octavia saw the toxic effects of racism, classism, and sexism when white women voted against Wendy Davis in a race that was a litmus test for how far what she called the Christian Brotherhood of the United States was willing to destroy women's reproductive rights, and how it was women of color, such as herself, who paid the highest price. Driven by the words of Octavia Butler, the science fiction fantasy writer she was named after, Octavia would comfort her Egyptian and Saudi friends with her inspiring words. When they asked, "Why do women fight feminists?" she would answer with the Octavia Butler quote, "Drowning people sometimes die fighting their rescuers." The Patel case, much like other affronts against women of color in the United States, slipped by, and it wasn't until white women began to be imprisoned for feticide that voters decided women were more than just incubators. Rape and sexual assault were almost unheard of by the time Octavia was ready to take the oath. Her predecessor had put into effect a curfew for boys and men that had radically lowered rates of crime across the US. One of Octavia's first decrees was to make public the Harriet Tubman Underground Feminist Railroad. The three friends had launched the network in 2020 to offer feminist aid, be it to whisk away girls in danger of female genital mutilation, forced marriage, or those in need of a safe abortion. Some were surprised at the triple inauguration of Donya Arij and Octavia, calling it as radical as their Underground Railroad. But how radical can a movement comprising half the world be in 2050? 2050 if it goes wrong. Donya Arij and Octavia are about to carry out coordinated acts of sabotage on every house of worship, regardless of faith it represented, and every military barracks and camp in their respective countries. The leaflets they leave behind read, "I freed 1,000 slaves. I would have freed 1,000 more if only they had known they were slaves. Harriet Tubman."